When Jungkook set foot in New York City ahead of New York Fashion Week, the city's atmosphere shifted in an instant. New York has always been a place where celebrities from across industries converge: models, actors, designers, and musicians. But the arrival of Jungkook added a new layer of anticipation and cultural weight to this year's Calvin Klein presentation. It wasn't just another celebrity attending a fashion show, it was the presence of someone who had already redefined global pop culture and who, through Calvin Klein, had become one of the most powerful faces of modern fashion. The mere confirmation that Jungkook would attend NYFW in connection with Calvin Klein was enough to trigger an avalanche of global media coverage. Every outlet, from fashion-dedicated publications like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar to mainstream news platforms, picked up the story. The narrative was clear. Calvin Klein wasn't just showcasing their new collection, they were reinforcing the deep, mutually beneficial partnership with a global superstar whose influence transcends music and fashion alike. This context provides the foundation for understanding why Jungkook's New York visit is not simply about attending a show. It's about the merging of industries, the celebration of cultural impact, and the undeniable presence of fandom power that has consistently elevated every project he touches. Jungkook's presence at NYFW represents more than a seat at the front row of Calvin Klein's runway. For Calvin Klein, inviting him to be part of this moment is both a marketing strategy and a show of respect. Since the brand first revealed Jungkook as its global ambassador, sales, visibility, and relevance among younger generations skyrocketed. This is not just anecdotal. Market analysis shows spikes in brand engagement whenever Jungkook is featured in campaigns. For the US audience, his arrival carried even greater significance. American armies, many of whom had waited months for any chance to see Jungkook in person, treated his New York schedule as a monumental event. Online fan communities, organized welcome banners, airport gatherings, and social media campaigns to celebrate his presence. To them, Jungkook's appearance was more than just about fashion. It symbolized a bridge between Korean artistry and American cultural spaces, with New York being the perfect stage. Even those who aren't familiar with K-pop could not escape the headlines. BTS's Jungkook set to attend Calvin Klein's NYFW show. Calvin Klein's global star touches down in New York, and fashion meets music as Jungkook arrives in the US. The sheer dominance of his name in media cycles demonstrated how one individual could reshape the narrative of an entire fashion week. For Calvin Klein, the decision to spotlight Jungkook during New York Fashion Week went beyond a typical brand-celebrity collaboration. Insiders have hinted that the brand adjusted its marketing strategy around his arrival. Posters, digital campaigns, and media teasers emphasized Jungkook as a centerpiece, ensuring that no matter how star-studded NYFW might be, his presence would remain a focal point. This emphasis signals respect. Calvin Klein understands that Jungkook isn't just a face for their products, he embodies the essence of what they want to project in today's market: modern, bold, and globally relevant. By highlighting him, Calvin Klein acknowledges that Jungkook has brought them not only sales, but also cultural prestige. His campaigns blurred the line between fashion photography and pop culture art, each drop setting off waves of analysis, conversation, and admiration. His arrival in New York, then, is a continuation of this tribute. Calvin Klein treats him as more than an ambassador. They treat him as a central force in shaping how the brand is perceived worldwide. No discussion of Jungkook in New York can ignore the ARMY. The fanbase's reaction to his arrival is a key part of the story. From the moment rumors circulated about his potential attendance, US armies mobilized online, trending hashtags across Twitter, now X, TikTok, and Instagram. The anticipation was visible. Fan accounts shared updates on flight schedules, speculated on his fashion choices, and created digital countdowns to NYFW. When Jungkook finally landed, the airport scene itself resembled a festival. Fans carried banners, flowers, and messages of support, cheering loudly as he walked past security. Videos of his arrival immediately went viral, drawing millions of views within hours. These weren't just local fans. Many had traveled across states to catch even a glimpse of him. For them, this moment was about recognition not only of Jungkook's influence, but also of ARMY's unwavering presence in the US. This visible energy serves as proof of how Jungkook's name transforms ordinary events into cultural phenomena. New York Fashion Week might have been a highlight in itself, but with him there, it became a story about the merging of fandom culture with high fashion. Why did Jungkook's arrival dominate the headlines in a city where celebrity appearances are commonplace? The answer lies in the scale of his reach. Most celebrities attending NYFW generate fashion coverage. Jungkook generates global Konversation. The difference is the intensity and speed at which his name trends across platforms. The New York media treated his arrival almost like the landing of a head of state. Reporters documented the details: his outfit, his demeanor, his interactions with fans, and even the brand of luggage he carried. Fashion editors began speculating on whether his appearance would include a surprise performance or if Calvin Klein planned an exclusive photo drop around his attendance. Moreover, international media outlets amplified the story. Korean, Japanese, European, and Latin American outlets all covered his presence in New York, effectively turning a US-based fashion event into a global media spectacle. This phenomenon illustrates how Jungkook's influence collapses geographic boundaries. What happens in New York with him instantly becomes relevant in Seoul, Paris, Tokyo, and Sao Paulo. While much of the coverage has been strategic and professional, there is also an emotional undercurrent to Jungkook's presence in New York. For many fans, seeing him in person after long periods of waiting carries deep significance. His career, tied closely with BTS's group activities, has often meant limited solo appearances. That makes each moment like this rare and precious. The images of him smiling at fans or waving as he entered the city quickly became emotional anchors for supporters. These small gestures, magnified through photos and videos, provided comfort, excitement, and pride. Even those who couldn't attend in person felt included, thanks to the collective effort of fans sharing real-time updates online. This emotional resonance adds another layer to the story. It isn't just about Calvin Klein's marketing or NYFW's glamour. It's about the bond between an artist and his fans, one that continues to shape global culture in profound ways. The story of Jungkook at New York Fashion Week is not only about fashion, it is about how a single figure can unite industries, fan bases, and media under one narrative. His arrival demonstrates the evolving relationship between music, fashion, and fandom culture. Calvin Klein recognizes his significance. ARMY celebrates his presence, and the media magnifies every detail. This convergence has created a New York moment that matters. Years from now, fashion historians may look back at this collaboration as an example of how cultural icons don't simply attend events, they redefine them. For Jungkook, this is another chapter in his journey of shaping global culture, not only as a musician, but also as a fashion symbol and international presence. And this is just the beginning. With Calvin Klein's runway show yet to take place, the anticipation surrounding Jungkook's actual appearance at NYFW continues to grow. Every fan, journalist, and industry insider is waiting to see how this partnership will unfold on one of the most prestigious stages in global fashion. New York Fashion Week is not just a fashion showcase, it is also a battleground for visibility, influence, and brand positioning. By ensuring Jungkook's attendance, Calvin Klein strategically places itself at the center of conversation. Consider the typical NYFW coverage. Designers debut collections, celebrities attend shows, and fashion editors document trends. Yet with Jungkook's presence, coverage expands beyond fashion circles into mainstream entertainment, international news, and even business media. Suddenly, Calvin Klein is no longer competing with just other fashion brands. It is leading global headlines across industries. This kind of exposure cannot be bought through traditional advertising. It is a result of attaching the brand to a figure whose personal narrative resonates across borders. By positioning Jungkook in New York at this exact cultural moment, Calvin Klein ensures that their strategy achieves maximum impact. Another striking element of this collaboration is the respect Calvin Klein demonstrates toward Jungkook. Unlike some brand-celebrity relationships where the ambassador is treated as a replaceable figure, Calvin Klein positions Jungkook as a long-term partner. Insiders point out that Calvin Klein's marketing materials highlight him with unusual prominence compared to other ambassadors. His campaigns are distributed with prime placement in stores, digital ads, and even billboards in cities like New York, Los Angeles, Seoul, and Tokyo. The brand's decision to showcase him so consistently signals that they view him not as temporary leverage, but as a central pillar of their global strategy. Moreover, the brand has been careful to align his campaigns with his personal style. Rather than forcing him into a completely foreign aesthetic, Calvin Klein highlights his natural charisma, allowing his authenticity to shine. This approach respects not only Jungkook as an individual, but also the fan culture that surrounds him. Fashion journalists have paid close attention to the Calvin Klein-Jungkook dynamic, noting that it reflects broader trends in the industry. Celebrity partnerships are nothing new, but what makes this one different is the global resonance. One article in a leading fashion magazine framed the collaboration as a redefining moment for Western fashion brands. For decades, luxury and premium fashion had primarily centered Western faces. Jungkook's prominence signals a shift toward a more inclusive global representation. This isn't just about tapping into K-pop's popularity, it's about acknowledging that cultural influence is no longer confined to Western borders. The media has also emphasized how Jungkook's involvement elevates NYFW itself. His attendance ensures that New York's shows are not just competing with Paris or Milan on design, but also on cultural buzz. In effect, his presence becomes an asset, not only to Calvin Klein, but to the prestige of NYFW as a whole. Calvin Klein understands that collaborating with Jungkook means collaborating with his fans. ARMY has consistently amplified the impact of every campaign, creating content, sharing updates, and ensuring visibility across platforms. In many ways, ARMY acts as an unpaid global marketing team. Their passion ensures that campaigns achieve longevity far beyond their official release dates. A Calvin Klein photoshoot with Jungkook doesn't fade after a week. It continues to circulate for months, embedded into fan edits, digital artworks, and conversations across platforms. This organic amplification gives Calvin Klein an advantage over competitors. Instead of relying solely on paid campaigns, the brand benefits from a community that actively promotes its products out of love for the artist. This unique ecosystem strengthens Calvin Klein's global strategy and demonstrates why Jungkook was the perfect choice.